The void of space was silent. It was a silence deeper than death, heavy and endless. Captain Elias Kane opened his eyes inside the broken wreck of his ship. Sparks danced across the ceiling. Fragments of metal floated past his helmet. The stars outside shone cold and merciless. His breath came in short bursts. The sound echoed in his helmet like the beating of a drum. He tried to move. Pain shot through his body. His ribs ached. His leg was numb. Yet he forced himself to sit up. The bridge of the ship was gone. The crew was gone. He was alone. For a long moment he did not move. He let the silence crush him. He thought of his shipmates. He thought of their laughter, their voices, the life they once carried through the corridors. Now there was nothing. Only drifting bodies, twisted metal, and endless dark. Then he heard it. A whisper. Soft. Clear. Close to his ear. "We are alone. Now let us do what must be done." Elias froze. His heart pounded. He spun his helmet, looking in every direction. The wreck was empty. His suit's comms showed no signal. The whisper had not come through the radio. It had come inside his head. He pressed his gloved hand to his helmet. "Who's there?" His voice trembled. No answer. Only the whisper again, softer this time. "You hear me. Do not be afraid." The voice was not human. It was melodic, like crystal struck by wind. Female, but alien. Elias clenched his jaw. "Stay out of my head." Silence returned. The stars glared at him. His chest rose and fell with panic. He thought it was madness. Maybe he had lost too much oxygen. Maybe his mind was breaking. Then the whisper came again, calm and steady. "You are not broken. I am real. Listen to me." His hands shook. "What are you?" "I am Celera," the voice said. "Last of my kind. Bound to you through the relic that lies near your heart. I am not your enemy. I am your bride." Elias felt the world tilt around him. He placed a hand against his chest plate. There, tucked inside, was a shard of glowing crystal he had picked up in the chaos of battle. He had thought it was a fragment of alien tech. Now it pulsed faintly, as if alive. He whispered to himself, "Bride? What madness is this?" Celera's voice grew firmer. "The relic chose you. It bound us. That is why you can hear me. That is why you still breathe." Elias shook his head. His throat felt dry. "I do not believe you." "Then test me," she said. "Your oxygen runs low. Move to the left corridor. There is a supply case under the wreckage. You will find what you need." He wanted to curse. He wanted to ignore her. Yet something in her tone pulled him. With slow steps, he limped down the shattered corridor. His boots scraped against loose wires and floating shards. His visor lit the darkness. He reached the broken passage. Metal beams blocked the way. His hands pushed aside the fragments. He dug into the wreck. And there, under twisted steel, was a supply case. He froze. His breath caught. Inside the case, sealed and untouched, were oxygen canisters. Elias stared at them. His pulse thundered. Celera's whisper filled his mind again, now soft and almost tender. "You see. I am not your enemy. I am your hope." He fell back against the wall. He wanted to deny it. Yet the evidence was before him. The canisters were real. His lungs could breathe again. This alien voice had saved him. He sat in silence. The weight of the void pressed harder now. He closed his eyes, his head sinking against the wall. "What do you want from me?" he asked. Celera's reply was slow, filled with something like sorrow. "I want to live. But more than that, I want you to live. Our fates are tied. Alone, we are nothing. Together, we may still stand." His hands trembled as he locked the new canister to his suit. Fresh oxygen flowed. His lungs filled with strength. For the first time since waking, Elias felt more than fear. He felt something dangerous. Hope. The whisper did not leave. It stayed inside his mind. Gentle. Watching. Waiting. He opened his eyes to the wreckage of the stars. He was still alone. Yet not entirely. In the heart of the void, where silence had claimed everything, a new voice now lived. A voice that called herself his bride. A voice that spoke of survival, of fate, and of something darker yet to come. And though Elias Kane wished to reject it, he could not. Because the whisper in the void had already begun to change him. Captain Elias Kane floated in the broken husk of his ship. The oxygen canister hissed gently inside his suit, giving him precious minutes of life. He leaned against the metal wall, staring at the glowing shard pressed against his chest plate. It pulsed faintly, like a living heart. The whisper returned, soft and steady. You breathe because of me. Accept that truth. Elias closed his eyes. I did not ask for your help. Solara's voice carried no anger. And yet you took it. That is what survival means. It is not about pride. It is about choice. Live or die. You chose to live. Her words stung, because they were true. His pride had nearly told him to refuse. Yet the air in his lungs was proof that he had followed her. Why me? He asked. His voice cracked. Out of everyone in this war, why me? The whisper grew quiet for a moment, as if she too carried pain. Then she answered. Because the relic chose you. It does not bind with the weak. It binds with those who refuse to surrender. You were not meant to die today. Neither was I. Elias opened his eyes. Stars glimmered through the torn hull. They seemed endless, cold, and sharp. He felt small before them. But Solara's words pressed against his heart. You said you are the last of your kind, he said. Yes, she whispered. My people are gone. Burned from the stars by the empire you now face. They struck us first, as they struck you. They fear young races. They fear what you may become. I am the last voice of my people, and now my voice is bound to you. Elias's breath slowed. He thought of Earth. He thought of the fleet that had come to fight, now scattered as wreckage. He thought of families waiting at home, unaware of the danger moving toward them. His fists clenched. So they mean to erase us too? Yes, Solara said. Her voice grew sharper, colder. And they will, unless you fight. Unless we fight. Elias looked down at his hands. Bruised. Shaking. Yet still alive. Could he fight? Alone? He forced a bitter laugh. I am one man with a broken ship. You are not one, Solara said. Her whisper filled his mind, strong and clear. You are two. My knowledge flows with you now. My sight, my memory, my will. Together, we are not broken. We are the bond they did not expect. For a long moment he sat in silence. The hum of the oxygen filled his helmet. His chest rose and fell with slow breaths. He thought of her words, thought of her presence inside his mind. Finally he spoke. If this bond is real, then prove it again. Show me something only you can give. Solara did not hesitate. Look behind the command chair. He turned slowly. The bridge was shattered, but the chair was still bolted in place. He pulled himself across the wreck, his boots scraping against twisted steel. Behind the chair was a small storage panel. He had never noticed it before. With effort he pried it open. Inside was a sealed medical kit. He froze. His hands trembled as he lifted it out. Pains surged through his chest. Broken ribs stabbed with every movement. Inside the kit were advanced patches, pain suppressors, and stimulants. Enough to keep him fighting. Enough to keep him moving. He leaned back against the chair, clutching the kit. His vision blurred with emotion. You see, Solara whispered gently. I am not your enemy. Without me you would already be gone. With me you still stand. Elias shut his eyes. For the first time, he did not resist her presence. He let the whisper linger inside him. It was strange. It was alien. Yet it felt warm. He thought of the words she had used before. Bride. The word rang inside his head, heavy and strange. Why do you call yourself that? He asked quietly. Solara's voice softened. Because the relic does not bind us as strangers. It binds us as one. In my culture, such a bond was sacred. Stronger than love. Stronger than blood. To be joined is to be eternal. That is why I call myself your bride. Elias's chest tightened. He wanted to reject it. He wanted to call it madness. Yet he could not ignore the truth. She was inside his mind, sharing his breath, guiding his survival. I never asked for a bride, he whispered. I never asked to lose my people, Solara replied. Her voice carried grief and longing. Yet here we are. Alone. Bound. Two souls against the void. The words cut deep. He felt her sorrow. It was not just his pain now. It was hers as well. Two griefs, joined into one. For the first time since the battle, Elias felt something new. Not only survival. Not only fear. He felt connection. He gripped the shard tightly against his chest. Its pulse echoed with his heartbeat. The void of space stretched endless outside the wreck. Cold. Dark. Merciless. But inside the silence, two voices now breathed as one. And as Captain Elias Kane floated in the ruins of war, he understood one thing with chilling clarity. He was no longer truly alone. Captain Elias Kane floated near the shattered bridge, the glow of the shard warm against his chest. The silence of space pressed around him like a coffin. His hands were steady now, his breath stronger, but inside his heart there was a storm. The whisper returned, calm but heavy. You want to know the truth. You deserve to know it. Elias lifted his head. The truth about what? About the ones who destroyed your fleet, Solara said. Her voice trembled with sorrow. And about the fate of my people. The air in his helmet felt colder. He remembered the battle. The sudden attack. The way their ships had appeared like shadows, cutting through human vessels as if they were nothing. He had never seen technology like it. His voice was low. Tell me. Solara's tone changed. It grew harder, sharper, edged with anger. They are called the Zorith. They are an empire of fire and silence. They move across the stars like locusts. They do not conquer. They erase. Entire worlds vanish in their path. My people, we were one of the first to stand against them. We believed they could be reasoned with. We were wrong. Her words struck Elias like a blade. He gritted his teeth. And humanity was next. Yes, Solara whispered. Your fleet was not their true target. It was only the beginning. They fear what your kind may become. You are young, but you grow fast. Too fast. They see in you what they saw in us. Potential. Strength. Rebellion. So they strike early. They kill the seed before the tree can grow. Elias felt the blood rush in his ears. His fists clenched until the gloves strained. He saw again the faces of his crew. Men and women who had trusted him. Now all gone. Erased like Solara's people. Why did no one stop them? His voice broke with rage. Where was the galaxy? Where were the other races? Solara's reply was sharp with bitterness. The others stay silent. They bow their heads and hope the Zorith will pass them by. They trade their pride for survival. But the truth is simple. The Zorith always return. It may take years, it may take centuries, but they always return. Submission buys time, not safety. The words hung heavy in his chest. Elias shut his eyes. He felt the weight of despair pressing down on him. Humanity was young. Their colonies were scattered, their fleets small. Against such a power, what chance did they have? Solara's whisper grew softer, like a hand on his shoulder. I do not tell you this to crush you. I tell you so you understand the scale of what you face. And so you understand why you cannot give up. They expect fear. They expect silence. That is why my people died. We waited too long to fight. Elias opened his eyes. His jaw tightened. He felt the spark of something dangerous inside him. A fire he had almost forgotten. "I will not wait," he said. His voice was steady, cold. "I will not let them erase us." Solara's whisper carried a note of approval. Almost a smile. "Then you are stronger than most. That is why the relic chose you." Elias looked down at the shard, its pulse steady against his chest. "You keep saying that. Chose me for what?" Solara's voice lowered, as if sharing a secret meant only for him. "To be a weapon. To be a beacon. The relic was made to bind two souls, human and alien, into one force. It gives me sight through your eyes, and it gives you strength through my will. Alone, you would have already fallen. With me, you can endure." His breath caught. The thought was both terrifying and powerful. He was no longer only himself. He was more. Something new. But fear lingered in his mind. "What if this bond breaks me?" he whispered. Solara's answer was soft, filled with emotion. "Then I break with you. That is the nature of the bond. We rise together. We fall together." For a long moment Elias said nothing. He let her words wash over him. He thought of Earth, shining blue in the distance of memory. He thought of his crew, now silent. And he thought of Solara, her voice inside him, carrying the weight of an entire fallen people. Slowly he spoke. "Then I will not fall. Not while I still breathe." Solara's whisper grew tender, almost warm. "Good. Then listen to me, Elias Kane. For the battle is not over. The Zorith will return. And when they do, you must be ready." Elias turned his gaze to the dark stretch of stars outside the broken hull. Somewhere out there, beyond the endless night, an empire of death was moving closer. He felt fear, but it no longer ruled him. His hand pressed against the shard, and he felt its pulse match the rhythm of his heart. 2 beats. 1 life. 1 bond. The silence of space remained. But inside his mind, he was no longer adrift. He had a voice beside him. A voice of sorrow. A voice of strength. A voice that called him not just to survive, but to fight. And in that moment, Elias Kane understood the truth. He was not a victim. He was not a survivor. He was the beginning of something the Zorith had never faced before. The bond of 2 souls. The bond of survival. The wreck drifted through the silent sea of stars. Captain Elias Kane sat against the broken chair of the bridge, staring into the endless dark. His body was weak, but his mind burned with fire. He had heard the truth. He had seen the face of despair. Yet he was still alive, and that meant something. Solara's voice lingered inside him, softer now, almost like a breath at the edge of thought. "You carry anger," she whispered. "But also resolve. That is why you are still here. That is why I remain with you." Elias closed his eyes. "I should be dead. My ship is gone. My crew is gone. By every law of nature, I should not be breathing." Solara's tone grew warmer. "Then accept this miracle. Accept the bond. You are not only Elias Kane anymore. You are us. You are the union of 2 fates." The words struck him deep. He felt the weight of what she said. It was more than survival now. It was something greater, something sacred. Yet it was terrifying too. He lowered his voice. "What does this bond truly mean, Solara? You call yourself my bride. You say we are one. But I need to know. Is this only survival, or is it something more?" For a moment, the silence stretched. He thought she would not answer. Then her whisper came, filled with emotion. "In my world, such a bond was rare. When 2 souls were joined by the relic, they became eternal partners. Not just allies. Not just lovers. They were one heartbeat split between 2 bodies. When one bled, the other felt the wound. When one triumphed, the other tasted the joy. It was more than marriage. It was sacred oath." Elias's chest tightened. He gripped the shard against his chest plate. Its glow was steady, like a living flame. "And now," Solara continued, her voice trembling, I am bound to you. A soldier of humanity. A stranger I have never touched, yet one who now carries my soul. Elias sat in silence. His heart pounded. He felt her inside him, not just as a whisper, but as warmth. Grief. Longing. Strength. She was real. She was alive within him. Finally he spoke. Then let us make it true. Let us make it more than survival. If we are bound, then we must vow. Here and now. To stand together. Solara's voice caught with surprise. A vow? Yes. Elias's eyes burned with determination. You said your people waited too long. You said humanity cannot be silent. Then let us swear. Not as human and alien. Not as soldier and voice. But as one soul in two bodies. We will not fall. We will not yield. If we must die, then we will die fighting. For a heartbeat, there was only silence. Then her whisper came, filled with raw emotion. Elias Kane, she said slowly, you honor me. You honor my people. Very well. Let us vow. The shard against his chest began to glow brighter, pulsing with their words. Elias felt it burn against his skin. Not painful, but alive, as if it knew what was happening. Solara's whisper rose, clear and strong. I vow to give you my knowledge, my memory, my spirit. I vow to stand with you until the stars themselves go dark. You are my partner, my shield, my chosen one. Elias felt his throat tighten. He placed his hand over the shard. And I vow to fight with your strength, to carry your voice with mine, to keep your people alive through my will. You are my partner, my guide, my eternal bond. The glow flared, filling the broken bridge with light. Elias gasped as warmth flooded his veins. For a moment, he felt as if Solara's heart was beating inside him. Two rhythms. One soul. He whispered into the light. Then it is done. Solara's reply was almost a sigh, filled with relief and something softer. Then it is done. The light faded, but the warmth remained. Elias opened his eyes, and for the first time since the battle, he did not feel hollow. He did not feel broken. He felt whole. He rose slowly, gripping the chair for balance. His body was weak, but his spirit surged with strength. He looked out at the stars. They were no longer only cold. They were a battlefield waiting to be claimed. Solara's voice lingered, no longer just a whisper. It was closer, stronger, as if she was standing beside him. Together, Elias Kane. Whatever comes, we face it together. He allowed himself a faint smile. Together. The silence of space remained, vast and merciless. Yet inside that silence, two souls had sworn an oath that no empire could break. Captain Elias Kane was no longer only a man. Solara was no longer only a whisper. They were one. And the galaxy would soon learn what that meant. The silence of the void stretched wide. The wreck of Elias's ship drifted in the graveyard of steel. Dead vessels floated like shadows, broken by the fire of war. For days, Elias had remained hidden among the ruins. He survived on what little food and oxygen Solara guided him to. But survival was no longer enough. Solara's whisper pressed against his thoughts, steady and sharp. The Zorith patrol will return soon. If they find you here, they will erase every trace of you. You must move. Elias tightened his grip on the shard. Move where? I have no ship. No weapons. Nothing but you. Solara's voice held a spark of challenge. And me is enough. There is one vessel still within reach. Not yours. Not mine. Theirs. Elias's head lifted. He peered through the cracked hull. In the distance, among the drifting wreckage, a dark shape glimmered. An enemy frigate. Its hull was scarred but still intact, its engines faintly burning. His pulse quickened. You want me to steal it? Yes, Solara said. That ship is wounded. The crew inside will be few. Their arrogance makes them careless. They believe all survivors are dead. You must prove them wrong. Elias's heart pounded. He thought of his broken body, his torn uniform, his fractured ribs. One man against an alien crew. It was madness. Solara's voice softened, almost coaxing. Madness is what they never expect. Humanity is dangerous because you refuse to die when you should. That is why the relic bound us. That is why you must rise. He closed his eyes. He remembered his oath. He remembered the vow they had sworn. Not just survival. Unity. Defiance. He opened his eyes again and spoke with fire. Then let us take their ship. Elias pushed off the wreck and drifted through the graveyard of debris. The stars glimmered against the darkness. His body moved slow, but his spirit burned. Solara guided his path with quiet precision. Keep to the shadows. Their sensors will be weak here. They see only what they want to see. Arrogance blinds them. He gritted his teeth, forcing his body through pain. His chest throbbed with each movement, but he did not stop. The enemy frigate loomed larger, a predator wounded but still alive. At last he reached the underside of the ship. The hull stretched vast above him, a wall of black steel. Solara whispered again. There. An access hatch. Small. Unwatched. That is where you must enter. He moved to it, hands gripping the edges of the metal. With effort, he forced the hatch open. A hiss of air escaped. He pulled himself inside and slipped into the narrow passage. The silence inside was different. Not the silence of space, but the silence of waiting. He could hear faint echoes of movement further down. Voices, strange and harsh, carried through the walls. Solara's tone sharpened. Do not hesitate. Every step forward is survival. Every hesitation is death. Elias crawled through the passage until he reached the main corridor. His heart raced. He had no gun, no armor, only the relic burning against his chest. He pressed his back to the wall. Then he felt something strange. A surge of warmth flowing from the shard into his veins. His vision sharpened. His limbs steadied. Pain lessened. Solara whispered gently. I give you what strength I can. My spirit flows into yours. Do not waste it. Elias nodded, though no one could see. He pushed forward. The first guard appeared at the corner. Tall, scaled, with eyes burning like fire. Elias moved before fear could stop him. He lunged forward, striking with the force of desperation. His fist slammed into the creature's throat. It fell, gasping silently, before Elias tore the weapon from its claws. Now he had a gun. The next moments blurred into fire and blood. He moved through the corridors, guided by Solara's voice. Left. Strike now. Aim higher. Do not stop. Each time, she was right. Each time, her sight through the relic led him to strike faster than his fear. The alien crew fell one by one, shocked by the fury of a single human. At last, Elias burst onto the bridge. The commander rose, hissing orders. But Elias's rage burned hotter. He fired, the blast tearing through the alien's chest. The bridge fell silent. He stood over the controls, chest heaving, blood pounding in his ears. His body ached, but his spirit roared. Solara's whisper came again, filled with pride. You see. Alone, you would have fallen. Together, we have claimed victory. Elias gripped the controls. This ship is ours now. Yes, Solara said. Her tone softened, almost tender. This is the first step. The galaxy does not yet know, but tonight a new force has risen. A human with the spirit of two souls. A bride and her soldier. A bond that cannot be broken. Elias lowered himself into the command chair. The alien vessel hung beneath his hands, alive and waiting. The stars stretched before him, endless and cold. But for the first time, he felt not like prey. He felt like a hunter. Solara whispered the final words, soft as silk, sharp as steel. Fire against the darkness, Elias Kane. Let them learn what it means to awaken humanity. And with that, the captured ship turned its engines toward the stars, carrying with it a new oath made of blood, fire, and love. The alien frigate soared through the stars, no longer Zorith property but a weapon in human hands. Captain Elias Kane sat in the command chair, his body bruised and battered, his spirit burning brighter than ever. Solara's voice filled his mind, steady and warm, guiding his every move. For weeks they moved in secret. They struck small targets, crippled supply lines, and spread fear through whispers. Rumors traveled fast across the void. A lone human ship, a ghost with fire in its heart, haunting the Zorith patrols. Soldiers began to speak of Kane the Unbroken and his unseen bride who fought at his side. But the whispers of defiance did not go unheard. The Zorith responded with fury. A fleet of warships, vast as a storm, began its march toward Earth. They meant to burn the cradle of humanity before its people could rise again. When Elias first saw the scans, his breath caught. Dozens of warships. Engines glowing like suns. A force large enough to shatter not only Earth but every colony within reach. His fists clenched on the arm of the chair. They are coming for everything. Solara's voice was calm, but beneath it was sorrow. Yes. They will strike with no mercy. And yet this is the moment we were bound for. You cannot run. You cannot hide. You must stand. Elias's jaw tightened. He thought of Earth's cities, fragile against the sky. He thought of his people, who did not yet know the storm descending upon them. His chest burned with rage and fear. But when he touched the shard, he felt Solara's heartbeat pulsing through it. Warm. Steady. Alive. Her whisper came, tender and fierce. Do not think of what you cannot do. Think of what we can do together. One ship cannot destroy a fleet. But one soul of fire can light a blaze. Strike them where they are weak. Force them into fear. Make them doubt their victory before the battle begins. Elias nodded slowly. Then we fight not for survival. We fight to break their spirit. Yes, Solara said. Because spirit is stronger than steel. That is the lesson they do not understand. And that is why they fear humanity most. The battle came swift and merciless. The Zorith fleet fell upon the edge of the Sol system, a tide of dark ships. Their weapons glared like lightning across the void. Elias pushed the frigate forward, weaving between the giants. The vessel shook with every blast, yet Solara's voice steadied him. Angle left. Fire now. Strike their engines. Do not aim for the strong. Cut the roots, not the tree. The stolen frigate spat fire. Enemy ships buckled under sudden blows. One cruiser fell dark. Another spun out of formation. Elias's heart pounded. He shouted against the roar of alarms. This is humanity's sky. You will not take it! For hours, the battle raged. Elias moved like a storm, striking, vanishing, striking again. Solara filled his mind with sight and instinct. Where she looked, he fired. Where he faltered, she steadied him. But the fleet was vast. For every ship they crippled, more closed in. The frigate groaned under endless fire. The hull split, sparks blazed, oxygen hissed from torn vents. Solara's voice grew softer. Elias, you cannot win this alone. The relic is strong, but it cannot carry both of us much longer. His eyes burned. Then it carries us both. We made an oath. Her reply was sorrowful, yet filled with love. And I will keep it. But I must give more than I have ever given. My spirit will flow into you, not just as a whisper. As life. As fire. It may cost me everything. Do you understand? Elias's throat tightened. He wanted to scream, to refuse, to hold her inside his mind forever. But he saw the fleet pressing closer. He saw Earth's blue glow in the distance, fragile as a dream. He whispered, Then give me everything, Solara. And I will carry you with me. The shard flared bright against his chest. Heat surged through his veins. His vision burned white. He felt Solara pour into him, her memory, her strength, her very soul. For a moment he was no longer one man. He was more. He was two hearts in one body. The frigate roared to life. Its weapons blazed with fire greater than before. Elias moved like lightning, striking through the fleet with fury that no machine could match. Zora's ships cracked and burned. Their formations shattered. Fear spread through their lines. The enemy began to fall back. Not because they were beaten, but because they had tasted something they could not understand. One human, burning with the soul of two, had broken their perfect wall of fire. But victory came with a price. Elias collapsed against the chair, gasping. The shard at his chest flickered weakly. Solara's whisper, once strong and clear, was now faint as breath on glass. "Elias," she murmured, "you are alive. Humanity is alive. That is enough." His eyes blurred with tears. "Stay with me. Please." Her voice trembled, fading. "I will always stay. Even if you cannot hear me. I live in you now. In your blood. In your fire. Carry me, Elias Kane. Carry me where I can no longer walk." The shard pulsed one last time, then dimmed. The silence in his mind was unbearable. Elias sat broken in the command chair, surrounded by the wrecks of Zora's ships. The fleet retreated, their threat broken. Earth was safe, for now. But inside him, where her voice had lived, there was only silence. And yet, he knew she was not gone. She was part of him now, not as a whisper, but as a flame that would never die. Captain Elias Kane, bound by oath and sacrifice, had become more than a man. He had become the last stand of humanity. The battlefield lay silent. Wreckage floated through the void, lit by the glow of distant stars. Broken Zorath warships drifted like carcasses, their once perfect lines shattered by defiance. And in the center of it all, the stolen frigate moved slowly, scarred and smoking, but still alive. Inside, Captain Elias Kane sat slumped in the command chair. His body trembled with exhaustion. His lungs dragged in shallow breaths. His eyes stared at the dark shard against his chest. Once it had glowed with Solara's heartbeat. Now it pulsed faintly, like a candle fighting against the wind. The silence inside his mind was heavier than the silence outside. For days he had carried her voice, her strength, her love. Now she was gone. He closed his eyes, letting grief wash through him. Memories rushed like fire. Her first whisper in the void. Her steady guidance when he staggered. Her laughter hidden beneath sorrow. Her vow spoken as if it were carved into the stars. And her final words. "Carry me where I can no longer walk." Elias pressed his hand against the shard. Tears burned in his eyes. "You are not gone," he whispered. "Not while I still breathe." The ship drifted toward Earth. Below him, the blue world shone against the darkness, fragile yet beautiful. He could see the continents, the oceans, the lights of cities flickering like stars upon the ground. Humanity was alive, though unaware of how close it had come to silence. When the signal reached Earth, chaos erupted. Military channels buzzed. Civilian networks lit with fear and questions. Why had the Zorath come? How had they been stopped? Who commanded the lone ship that fought an empire? The answer came in whispers, first among soldiers, then among the people. A name carried through the void. Captain Elias Kane. The man who survived the impossible. The man who carried fire in his veins. The man who fought with a voice no one else could hear. When he stepped onto Earth again, the people gathered. They wanted a hero. They wanted answers. Elias gave them only truth. He spoke not of victory, but of warning. "The Zorath will return," he told them. His voice was strong, though grief weighed behind every word. "They will come again, and they will strike harder. But they have learned something they never expected. They have learned that humanity does not bow. They have learned that even in the silence of death, we rise." The crowd roared with defiance. For the first time, Earth no longer looked to the stars with fear, but with fire. Yet Elias knew it was not his strength alone. It was hers. It was Solara's wisdom, Solara's courage, Solara's sacrifice. Without her, he would have died in the graveyard of wrecks. Without her, humanity would have fallen before it had ever risen. And so he carried her not as memory, but as truth. At night, when the noise of the world faded, Elias stood alone beneath the stars. The shards still rested against his chest, dim yet warm. He closed his eyes and listened. And though the silence stretched, he felt her. Not as a whisper in his ear, but as something deeper. A presence flowing with his blood. A flame carried in his soul. When he raised his hand to the night sky, he felt her hand with his. When he breathed, he felt her breath inside his lungs. When he stood defiant, he felt her strength at his side. The bond had not broken. It had only changed. Celera was no longer a voice apart. She was part of him now. Eternal. Years passed. Humanity rose stronger. They built fleets greater than before. They studied the wrecks of Zorith's ships and forged new weapons. Colonies grew. Cities shone brighter. And always, at the center of it, stood Elias Kane. He was more than a soldier now. He was a symbol. He was the fire that refused to die. Children learned his name before they could read. Families told his story at night, whispering it as a promise. Humanity does not yield. And though no one else heard her voice, Elias always felt Celera near. In every battle he fought, in every speech he gave, in every step he took, she was there. His bride. His partner. His eternal flame. On the edge of his life, when his hair had grown white and his body heavy with years, Elias returned to the stars one last time. He stood on the bridge of a new flagship, built by the hands of a stronger humanity. Around him, fleets stretched across the void. The Zorith came again, vast as ever, but this time humanity did not stand alone. This time the fire of Earth burned bright enough to face them. As the battle began, Elias closed his eyes. His hand touched the shard against his chest. And in that moment he felt her again. Not as silence. Not as absence. But as presence, full and clear. Elias Kane, Celera whispered, soft and eternal. You carried me. And I carried you. Together we lit the stars. He smiled through the tears. Together. Always. And as the fleets clashed and the void erupted in fire, humanity rose with them. A tide of unbroken will. A tide that would never again be silenced. Because one man, one woman, and one vow had shown the galaxy the truth. Humanity was never truly alone. Humanity had whispered with fire. And the whisper was eternal.